YouTube channel, and I want to reach out to all of you out there, see how all of you are doing, and I hope you're able to get out in nature somewhere, you know, for a nice hike somewhere, or maybe a bike trail, or a park. So you got like 3 different places. Really, those are the 3 of the best. You know, you really walking in the city is not really where you want to be walking. You know, maybe some of you are like, yeah, but I like it. You know, but you would feel a whole lot better if you know, get out in nature where, you know, the birds, leaves, and bees and trees are. And anyway, I do love all of you. If you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome. And you know, if you don't know where to find me, you can find me on YouTube at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Digman. So anyway, I really love all of you, and thank you for watching this video. And you know, I just made a video before this, different topic, of course. So I've been wanting to do this for a while, a long time now, and now that I'm reaching out, you know, mainly, you know, more than likely little kids are not going to be watching this unless they are with their mom or dad, but for teenagers and up, you know, or even below, you know, the teenager years, you know, teenagers is really what this video is really for, is the teenagers, but this could be helpful for, you know, all the guys and ladies out there anyway, men and women. So anyway, you can give this video a thumbs up, you can share this video, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can, don't forget the notification bell, that way you don't miss any videos, and you can leave a message down below this video, whoopsie, and you can reach out to me or follow me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook at Kathy with a K Digman Starlight. So don't mind me right now. I have this bandage on here because I just got done a while ago, like a couple hours ago, donating my blood. And I haven't done that in years, and I did try to take the bandage off, but it started bleeding again, so it's not ready to, you know, I don't know why it's bleeding. I've ripped that baby off, too. And there it goes. I don't mess around with those things. But if you're just wondering why I have that on my arm, so, yeah, Starlight does donate her blood. And that will be a different video, you know, and not tonight. I already made 2 videos today. So I do want to make a video is, what is your blood type? Do you know anything about your blood type, you know? So anyway, to get started with this video, it is mainly, like I said, it's really for the teens. And have you ever seen, I don't get these names right, but there's a man that dressed up, you know, like with a beard, and he's got the red, white, and blue colors, and he's like, I want you. You know, he wants you guys, you know, the teenagers. You know, he wants you. You know, I know, I'm not sure these days because I never went into high school, but, you know, I don't know when they start this, but the public school, you know, I don't know how this is all run, if the government says that the public school has to do this, or if the school does this on their own, where they let like military men or policemen and women go to the school to try to get teenagers to join like the military services or the police force. You know, so you know, I don't know what age they start going in the schools because they want to hurry up and get you. And I'm not here to scare any of you teens, you know. So if there is a teenager that is watching this video, I'm not here to scare you. This is just the way you look at it, is just to inform you to keep yourself safe and be wise. You know, it says in the Bible to be wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. You know, so you want to be wise. And, you know, you might have been brought up and it's hard to say what kind of parents you have, you know, like as far as being brought up. You know, either you have parents that were really good, they were always trying to tell you to be safe and, there's a lot of different levels of parenting where some people take it to another degree where they're overprotective. Then other parents, they just don't even watch their kids. Not that they don't, not saying that they don't love them, but they don't know where they are, what time they're coming back, or, what kind of friends they have or anything like that. So there's all different levels, of how people are bringing up their kids and, however they were brought up to raise up their kids. And if they decided, hey, I'm going to copy exactly the way my mom and dad brought me up, or hey, I don't like the way my mom and dad brought me up, and I've seen how, the outcome is, so I'm going to, change everything that they did. Or you might be a kid or an adult right now that you're like, my parents did this wrong, but, I liked what they did here because that really helped me out. Encouraging your kids is very helpful, and it will, really it does. All of us can use some encouragement or inspiration, so that's what, I try to do is to inspire you to do the, things, that are going to help you in life instead of bringing you down in a negative way. And I'm not perfect, so, you can, see all kinds of stuff that, and that's not the, we're not here to be perfect, but we strive for it, we do. We strive to be perfect, but, you're wasting your breath if you think you're going to make it. I've tried. I've been there. Then you think you're better than everybody. So really, you're not going to, and I'm a Virgo. Virgo gets picked on a lot about trying to be perfect. And so I don't know what your sign is. You got to find out, hey, what does your sign mean? It's really important if you're a teenager or even adult. Find out what your sign is all about. I don't do tarot cards myself, like readings, but I do watch tarot card readers. And I'm amazed. Speaking of that really quick, I'll just throw this in really quick. I watched a tarot card reader lady this morning, and I am not kidding you. She said to pay attention, and today was a rainy day in my area, of any umbrellas, like somebody, like kind of leaving an umbrella. And when I got my blood drawn today for, like donating my blood to help other people out, one of the ladies that was helping me out in there, to donate, to get my blood, she went out, she didn't have any hair. I'm serious, she did not have any hair. And first thing I seen, I'm like, wow, you are beautiful, and she thought that was sweet of me. And but she went out in the rain, and she left her umbrella behind. And that, I'll tell you, it's a trip when when you get connected to a right tarot card guy or girl, no matter, don't even think about what they look like. Sometimes you don't even see them. Sometimes all you do is see their hands, and they're talking with their hands. It's so funny when I watch that, So it's amazing. Here I went out, and I felt like I was being led, to go and do what I did today. It's kind of funny how this happened. And then the lady's like, she went out in the rain and forgot her umbrella. And when she came back, and she's like, that's funny. I went out and got wet. Now I'm cold. And here the umbrella sat here the whole time. And so I just wanted to throw that in is, if you're a teenager, please check out my video named Are You Searching for Guidance? That will really help you out. So now I'm going to get to the real deal of why I'm here is, now you might be a teenager or an adult, and this is going to get, this kind of video could get some people upset because they're might not even understand exactly what I'm trying to explain here. So, and then some of you might totally get it because you've grown, you've been working on yourself, and, so you get insights like I do, or you got wisdom or knowledge, and you understand and you see a world way different than most people do. Most people are blind to really what is going on in the world, and that's why I definitely want to help you teens out, because they want you. Just like Starlight wants you. That I want you, is that I want to help you, because you are wanted, and you guys and girls are the target, because all of you, whether you're a girl or a guy, it doesn't matter, you are the target. Everybody, they're directed to you. You're the future of this world. We need you. But we need to help you to be careful and don't fall for the pitfalls out there. And I do have to say, I didn't really know this when I was a teenager, so I do, I don't know what kind of background you have, whether you live with your mom or dad right now at all. You could be already on your own. I would not know that, or, you might be trying to hurry up and, get out and get away from your parents because maybe they are not being the greatest examples to you. Or, maybe, you've got great parents, but you still want to get out. You're like, it just seems like the thing to do, is to grow up. A lot of kids grow up too fast, and they can't wait to hurry up and get out of their parents' house. And it's so sad where a lot, and this is so sad, Starlight does not like this, is there's a lot of parents that can't wait for their kids to get done with high school and get out, hurry up, get out of here, hurry up. We want you to hurry up, graduate, and hurry up and go to college. Or if they weren't educated that way at home, to go get a college where, sometimes the parents don't have money to send their kids to college or even get them a car, or these teenagers have to buy. If I want to get a car, I'm not going to get it from my mom and dad. They're not going to buy me a car. That means I got to work for it. And so it kind of gets them to, want to go out and get that job, and so they can get a car, so they can get out, So when I brought my two kids up, my daughter already left me at a very young age, to go with her dad, when she was like 11, 12 years old. So I took care of her up until that point, and then she did. She went and lived with her dad. So it only left me with my son. And I'm like, you can stay with me. I don't want you to go anywhere. I want you to stay with me until the day that you find your wife, and then you can go get married and, make babies or whatever, so because I had the Christian background. So I definitely didn't want my kids to leave Starlight. Absolutely not. So I love both of my kids equally. And so this is why I really need to make this video, is to let you know is, you might be going to school right now and you might have seen those police officers come at your school, and they might meet with you in your class, and they might have showed you all kinds of neat things, cool things. That is one thing, being a police officer. We do need police officers and women, men or women. But, before I say but on that is, or you might have seen military men, from the Army or the Marines or the Navy. I'm not sure which ones go out there, and they got all kinds of names of military out there. The Army is the most popular one that I can think of. And I've known some Army men, and I've known some Marine men, and Navy, so those are the three that I've actually met, or had relatives that were in the Marines. I come from a family that had, in our relationship, my other relatives, on my dad's side, all the sons, they were Marines, or my stepsons, they, not stepsons, but my stepbrothers, sorry about that, they went in the Army for different reasons, So, I am not encouraging it, though. That's the whole point of this, is I'm not encouraging to join the Army. Absolutely not. I would never send my kids in the Army, military, Navy, whatever you want to call it, whatever the names all are, and, what I've learned throughout my life is that, that you might look on the news and see that they say that there's a war going on, and, you can see people getting hurt and all that stuff. And that you got to understand that a lot of this world that you see with your two eyes, is an illusion. This is not the reality that you really think it is. We have been lied to, from the beginning of time. and there's a lot of things going on behind the scene, like in The Wizard of Oz, you know, what did she find behind the curtain? You know, she was afraid, you know, because the man behind the, you know, the curtain where, you know, she feared, but it was just this old man, you know, and that's pretty much how this world is, you know. It is kind of funny with the cartoons that we were brought up to see. You know, there's a lot of funny stuff about going, you know, like the movies or the cartoons that have been made, you know, little bits of truth here and there about the real reality that we live. But, you know, not everybody has woken up to that truth yet. A lot of people out there, and you might be one, is that a lot of people, I learned this when I went to church, is there's a lot of people that go to church that are sleeping, even though they look like they're awake and they're driving their cars, they're going to church, and even though they could be singing, you know, it even says in the Bible where they're, you know, the preacher could be preaching and it could be falling on deaf ears, you know. So that is possible too, that people hear stuff, but it doesn't, you know, go anywhere, you know, because they are sleeping, you know. So there's such a thing as the third eye, you know. So when your third eye gets open, then you start, you know, there's a lot of things that can happen. Or if you've gone through hell in your life, you know, where, you know, you've learned a lot of things the hard way, and then, you know, because you get wisdom through that, then you start understanding and knowing that this world is not the way you think it is, you know, the way you see it with your two eyes, that these two eyes here deceive us. You can't see 100%. You know, the animals, you know, it is, you know, awesome that they can see more than we can see. You know, they got really good vision, you know, like deer and the eagle, other animals with their and other senses that they have, they can sense things before they come, you know. So, and then we are supposed to be really spirit beings having a human experience, that we're made out of stardust, you know. So we are more than what we've been told. And, you know, that's why they're going to be after the teenagers, because they're going to want you to join in the police department or the Marines or the Navy or the Army or whatever, you know, military out there. And, you know, a lot of times, not so much the women so much, but a lot of the guys, the boys, you know, young guys, they're going to want to join those because of shooting the guns, you know. Wow, yeah, get in there, you know, blow them all away and all this stuff. They get excited about, you know. But please don't, you know, like they're, you know, we just had like a holiday, you know, like Memorial, you know, like, and, you know, there's a lot of sadness going on that day, you know, because there's a lot of people that lost their lives at war, and that war is not really what you think it is, you know, that we are at war with ourselves, you know. If you don't love yourself, and, you know, like, you know, if everybody worked on themselves, there wouldn't be a war outside there, you know, because what's going on in here, in our mind space, you know, like we are supposed to be all one, you know, that, you know, we're a lot of times, not that there is any, you know, like different, even though they say race and all that stuff, that different colored people and stuff like that, is that, you know, there's a war between the races, and that has been a setup. You know, we're not supposed to be fighting against each other. We're supposed to be here helping each other, you know, and that there is no race. We are all one, you know. So if you're a teenager, please, you know, like, this is the whole thing, is that they want you to join this stuff, the government does, you know, because they don't want you to find out who you really are, you know. And if you're a mom or a dad watching this video right now, you might not be happy with Starlight. You might be confused what Starlight is even saying. What is she saying? And have you ever watched the documentary of The Matrix? You know, and there's so many other movies that were, you know, like, that's a documentary, but there's other movies out there, you know, like, how many times have you heard about aliens? And then a lot of people doubted that there was aliens, but then there's a lot of people that has had experience of aliens or UFOs in their life, and now, you know, it's been here the whole, you know, it's been here before I was here, you know, aliens and UFOs, you know. So if you're believing everything on the news, that's where, you know, that's where a lot of people fall short, is because they believe the government, they believe the school system, and they believe the news. It can be an addiction for some people. How were you when COVID came out? When we had COVID, were you always running oh no, I got to find out what they're saying about COVID, and how many injections now? A lot of things are not really being honest, like with the news, and you got to keep yourself safe from that. So it's about protecting your energy. And if you're a teenager, and if your mom and dad are not in such a hurry of getting you out of the house, your best thing is to really try to find out who you are, and really be thoughtful of the kind of job that you get. Think of like if we did have another virus, it might not be called the COVID, virus. It might be a different name. Is that you really want to try to get a job where it's not going to affect you. Really use your mind, like you doing something on the internet, would be, a really good thing, because number one, you won't need a car, to go anywhere, So, if your parents are not in a rush for you to run out and get out and on your own, some parents, they want their kids to stay with them. And that's beautiful, and those families there, the ones that want you to stay with them, until you are ready, fully ready, and you get the right kind of job. And, they might not have a lot of money, to support you with a car or whatever, and if you're getting along great and they're not being abusive, try to stay with them. Go, find a job that you can get either online, or, you really don't want to run out to Burger King or McDonald's, you want to get a job that you're going to get paid good, and a job that you're going to be happy with. Don't be desperate and running out and getting something, that's not going to be good for you. There's a lot of people out in the world, and they're selling their soul, really to the devil out there, and they're getting jobs that are not good for them, and those jobs are online. There's a lot of teenagers out there, and they're selling their souls, by, going on websites that are not good for them, and, it's just destroying their reputation, as far as who they are, because they do have chat sites out there, and it's not really, a good thing that's going on. And in time, they might make lots of money, but, what is it doing with their reputation? How do they feel after, do they really enjoy what they're doing? Is it really worth the money? And then if there are people in the neighborhood that knows what they're doing, they're going to be laughed at and picked at for, what they're doing. And they're not going to really be happy with themselves, and they could be depressed. And, worst of all, they might want to, to end their life because of the choice that they made. So you really want to be smart from the start, and really think of having your own business, if you got parents that are there to support you, try to come up with something that you really could enjoy, something that you know how to do. If you're good at music, maybe making songs, or an artist, you can do things like that where it's your own business. You can set your own hours. And if you have parents that are supportive and they're not in a rush to kick you out, yeah, I said it, it is sad. I don't understand that, my son ended up leaving me, not at the time that I wanted. I ended up losing my car, and I didn't have the money to fix it. I was a single mom, and so I had to tell him that he had to find a place. He did. He lived with a Christian family that really took good care of him and helped him out through that time. And he married a beautiful girl, and he's been married to her like 10 years now. So I am so proud of him. He's going to be moving away, and I'm going to miss him and my daughter-in-law and my grandson. So, and Starlight's not the kind of mom that controls her kids. This is something that they decided to do, because, my daughter-in-law got a job out there, with her company that she works with out here. So they're going to pay for everything. But hey, I'm not gonna tell them no, you can't do that. I want you here with mommy. So you really, if you do have a mom and dad that can be there to support you, like really, if you can make money online, gee, all you need is the internet, a computer, or even a phone, you know, um, and learn how to make money on the internet, where you don't, all you got to do is learn something. There's people making money doing all kinds of different things on the internet. You can always look on YouTube and look, hey, how can I make money, on the internet. So, and then your parents, I can't imagine that they would not like that, because you can make really good money if you get out there, but it does take time. So I just want to encourage you to, you be really careful out there. If you're in a rush to getting out of your parents' house, maybe because of abuse or anything like that, I don't blame you to want to hurry up and get out. And but I do want to help you out in that area also, is that sorry, um, you do have to be careful because, like I don't want to have a lot of drama on here, but, I left my parents' house before I turned 16, and so I do have to warn you, be safe, because it only took 3 days for the devil to send somebody at me, and I didn't know it. I was so young. I didn't even realize what I was walking into, so it only took 3 days. Somebody found out that I was, like I can't really say I ran away, but, I was not living at home anymore. I was planning on not living there, but it just didn't happen the way I was thinking it was. So, because I was living on the streets, I didn't have any place to live. A man did find me, and, I'm not going to go into the details on that, but, you got to be careful, men or women out there, is that you don't want to fall for anything out there, because a lot of people are going to try to get you to smoke cigarettes, or they're going to find out, hey, your parents don't let you do this and that. They might want to try to get you to do this and that, like drugs or cigarettes or alcohol, or even sex, or do illegal stuff like stealing, so you gotta really use your head, or, like driving a car without your license, you know, um, I do know a couple people, they got a good head on their shoulders. One is my son. He's not a little kid anymore. He's an adult now, so he's got a great head on his shoulder. And my one oldest grandson, he is, he is super smart, and he has got a good head on his shoulder. So there's two boys, that I am, my other one is so little. He's my little grandson. So, but he is smart. It's just that, they say they're really smart up till, like very super smart when they're born, all the way up, I think, to 7 years old. That's the smartest, when they're learning a lot, so you want to be wise when you get out in the real world out there, because you're going to have men or women or a mixture of both that are going to, test you out, and they're going to try to get you to do stuff that, you might not want to do it, but they will try to talk you into doing things, like to, where they might use you for something or another, and you don't want to ever be desperate, because that's how a lot of people do stuff out of desperation, that they might do something, where they might say, hey, you've been, like you don't want to rush to get out of your house unless you really have to. If you're not safe with your mom and dad, yeah, that's a different story. You don't want to really keep yourself in a situation like that. And these days, they might have a place. I did hear just the other day on the radio, I wish I knew the name of the place, where they do have places for teenagers to go, where they can have a safe place to sleep, and they will help you, like to get on your feet, like to get you a good job. But you don't want to take just any job if you're not in a big rush. You want to really get a job that you're going to get paid right, and you're going to love the job. You don't want to get a job that you're, and you don't want to work a whole lot of hours to make that money. So that's why it's so important if you're making really good money. You don't have to do the 12-hour shifts. And like I said, it would be best if you went and got had your own business, start your own business. My son, I'm so proud of him. He started off, I don't know what age, but he started his own mowing business. He didn't even have a car. He was too young to drive a car. And so I was so proud of him. He did it right on our street, and people did. They invited him. He went knocking on their doors and said, "Hey, would you like to have me mow your grass?" And he made up the price and all that, and all I had to do is go up and down, push that mower around. All I had to do is get gasoline and other stuff for him, and I'm so proud of him. He is very wise. He's got a good head on his shoulder, and that's what it's going to take, because this world is not an easy world to live in, and there's going to, like I said, even women, this goes for guys, teenagers, girls, and boys. You really do. You got to be careful. Even women out there are going to try to, like with the girls or guys, there's going to be men that are going to try to be after the boys, and that could be in all different ways. They could try to get you on a drug, so then they can take advantage of you, or they might try to get sex out of you, try to pay you money, and to do stuff like that with you, So it is sad that I gotta bring this up, but some of you might not get taught that at home, where they might not even be telling you that you got to watch out, because they might have not thought about it, or maybe they're too busy or whatever. Is that you gotta be really wise, and that's why I made that video also, is about how to I've got to back that up, is, are you searching for guidance? Check that video out, and how to have a dream journal, like how to make one, how to have a dream journal, because that will also help you how the universe will communicate with you. And I'm not kidding, so those are different videos that you can watch, and it's so important you check those out. That way, you'd be like, I'm not going to give you all the information, because it would take too long to make this video so long. So if you really want to know how the universe communicates with you, or the universe or God communicates with you, it is through those couple videos. And I did make another one. I'm not sure if I remember with that title. I'm trying to think. I've made so many videos. Are you searching for guidance? If I think of that other title, which I more than likely will, I can put out the third video out. I'm like kind of remembering it, but I can't fully. It's like a dream. I kind of remember it, but I can't remember it. But really, check those videos out. And I'm not the only one out here. And really, if you have not watched the documentary of The Matrix, that this is not all the reality that you think. Like I said, that there's not a war out there, even though you see it on the news. It's an illusion. A lot of things are not really, it's not all real as you think. There's a lot of people that their legs got destroyed over this. They lost their legs and body parts, thinking that they were doing the right thing to try to protect people in America, to protect their freedoms and stuff. But it's a trap, it is a trap. You really, really, it's a lot of people, they might encourage their kids to do that, because they're like, hey, look at my daughter or son in the army, So, that's how this world is. A lot of times, a lot of people, they want to hey, look at, this is my kid. I'm the one that brought this kid up, and look at, he joined the army. Well, it is not going to do any good if later on your kid or, your daughter or son gets blown away. My one half brother, when he joined, there was nothing going on, and then he got in there, and then stuff happened, where he's he was scared. He was scared. He didn't sign up for that, and when you sign up, you can't get back out of it. I've known people that got in there, and they wanted to get out, and they actually did, and now they're the enemy now. It's like they there's a name for it. I can't remember the name, but you know, some people will try to get discharged from being in the military and stuff like that. And I'll tell you, you know, they have a law, and you got to have like when COVID and all that. If they say, hey, you're in the military now, you're getting the injection, and you're like, I don't want to get the injection. Well, too bad. You joined up. You're going to have to do whatever they tell you. That's the deal. You can't back out of it. You know, so you do. You really want to, you know, they don't tell you all this stuff when they're trying to recruit people. When they come to the high schools, you know, they don't tell you, hey, you know, like all the negative stuff about joining. You know, you might think about, hey, it would be great to do that whole workout. And that's what I was thinking. Starlight wanted to join the Army when I was a kid because my one brother was going to do it. I never went to high school. And then he came home. He got all these bands. You know, it was a white and green, a band. You know, it said Army on it, and a headband. You know, so I followed my brother, and if he was joining the Army, I wanted to follow my brother and join the Army. And I am so glad emotionally I was not cut out for it. Yeah, I definitely emotionally I would not have been able to survive it. And I'm so glad my brother never went. He backed out of it. He thought, you know, he did. He had a good head on his shoulders that he did not join the Army. You know, you get in there, you're screwed. Really, put it that way, you are screwed. You join in it, you know, there goes your relationship with any girl or any guy. You know, really, you're not gonna. You know, you're not going to have a really happy, fulfilling, you know, the person's always going to miss you. And there's a good chance that they're going to, you know, like say, forget it, you're not here for me. You know, you're busy in the Army or you know, or whatever military force that there is. You know, there goes your love life, you know, where you can't be the kind of dad that you would like to be for your kids. And then your wife is going to miss you all the time and worry about you all the time. Or your husband is going to, you know, women go in the Army and military and all that too. And it's not all roses in there. Absolutely not. You know, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. You know, I've watched lots of military movies. I mean, lots, you know. You know, so it is something, you know, like you know, there's times that men, you know, they cheat on their wives. You know, they go in an area and they get friendly with some of the girls, or even the girls can get friendly with some of the guys that they are recruiting with, you know, and then they end up having sex, you know, without their wife or husband at home knowing anything about it, you know, where a lot of horrible stuff. I mean, I've watched some horrible movies with war stuff. I'm horrible at remembering, but man, some of them really, really, you know, and did an impact on my mind. And I'm trying to think of some of the actors, you know, that played in some of these movies. But wow, you know, don't think that, hey, you're going to be like a hero out there. You know, oh yeah, I'll do it so then everybody will focus on me and look at how great of a person I am because I went there. I was brave. I wanted to protect them. You know, I wanted to help everybody. You know, please don't fall for that, you know, because it's a trap. It is a trap. And I know not everybody is going to like this video or even understand it because a lot of people, their eyes are not wide open. You know, like I'm waking up to the truth in life to understand that there's a lot going on behind the scenes, like in Wizard of Oz, that you're not even aware of yet because you are so young, and that you are powerful. No matter who you are, if you're a teenager, that there's power in the blood, and God wants to use you. You know, and that is not the you know, God, the God or universe. You know, a lot of people have painted God looking really horrible, and that's really a lot of that there's been a lot of deceiving stuff about that. You know, about the real true God, the universe, which we all are, the universe. You know, there's no race. We're all one. You know, so you got to understand. I'm here to help you and guide you, to protect you from the things that are waiting for you out in the world. You do have to be wise, you know, some of your parents might have warned you about, you know, like hanging out with the wrong kind of people. They are so right. You got to be careful. You got to keep yourself safe. You know, there's a lot of tricksters out there. Some people, you might even be doing marijuana. Check out some of my videos I did make on marijuana on YouTube, and you can find it on Starlight at Kathy with a K Dingman. There's some tricks about with marijuana. You got to watch out. So if you don't just want to just trust everybody out there. You got to be cautious. It's sad that I have to really make a video on this topic, but really, you are the future. That's why a lot of people are going to try to trip you up. You might even came from a really bad family that really didn't have your back. And I just made a video yesterday about protecting your energy. You might want to check that video out too. So I do love all of you, and this is videos for anyone really, but really it's focused on the teenagers. But any of you can get the same kind of help, understanding that the war is inside here. It's not out there. It's inside. Everything is inside. Inside of you. Everything that you're looking for is inside of you in your heart space. And like I said, that war, is inside your mind. Your thoughts are not your own, and that's a hard one to wrap your mind around, right? I wish I could go longer, but I can't. I actually have to cut this video. And anyway, I do love you all. And this is my new background. Yeah, you said, oh, it was black the other time. Oh, now it's blue. That's a verbal here for you. If it's not, hey, I got to tear it apart. Got to do it again. And so it is. I got the stars. So anyway, I do love all of you. You can like this video. You can share it with a friend or a family or your pets. Yeah, your pet. Also, hey, if you know somebody that wants to join the army or whatever, say, hey, check the Starlight chick out. She's got some info here, and I'm not here to deceive you and, or trip you up. I'm here to help you, so that's what I'm here to do. So you can share it with your pet. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can... Don't forget the notification bell, and you can leave a message down below. Plus, you can follow me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight or on Facebook at Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. So anyway, I do love all of you. This is Starlight. Love and light.